set.
So we just finished up our third cycle of training. We're about 16 weeks into training for the fall. We're about 2 to 3 weeks out from our first competitive races. And these guys are in a deload week, which I also like to use for testing. At the end of every cycle, especially in the fall, I'll test a handful of things. My standard battery includes some jump tests as well as some strength and speed tests. Here you see guys doing some RSI testing here. I like to use jump testing throughout the year. It's a great indication of power, but also readiness. So RSI is the one jump test that I include throughout the year, even during competitive periods. We sometimes will even use it as a weekly assessment of readiness and ability to handle the training load. When we do it on a deload and test week here, I like to see the guys hit near PR levels. It's a good assessment of how well I have managed the training. So we're looking to see guys hit around 3 or above, and we had a handful of guys hit in the mid 3s. Obviously, track and field guys need to do some speed testing, so our standard or classic speed test for acceleration, which is appropriate at this time of year, is the 30 hand start. It splits at 20 meters and 30, so we get a pure acceleration on that 20, as well as a flying 10 meter, which gives us a look at their top end speed. We use electronic timing gates, obviously, to keep it as reliable and accurate and valid as possible, and try to augment that with some video whenever we can to get an indication of how things are evolving over the course of the season. Not just looking at performance, but also looking at how well an athlete can execute the technical model. And hopefully those two things marry together. You run faster and you're doing it because not only the power is there, but because you're executing with the movement patterns correctly. We'll also do some strength testing on this particular day, which was our first test day of the week. We did 2. We tested bench press and squat. We'll later test power clean as well. Bench press I find is useful to know for multi-event athletes that do need to throw, but we'll also test squat, as I say, and power clean. Use some of these numbers to guide our training as we move forward here. With the squat, we'll trust a true 1 RM, and whenever possible, we'll try to augment that with some velocity-based metrics to get an indication of not just how much weight the athlete can move, but also how well they can move it. This is particularly important when we're getting closer and closer to competitive periods, especially when we might want to unload some of the weight on the bar and actually just see how well an athlete can move a given weight. So knowing how fast they can move that bar and how much power they can produce can be super, super beneficial. And whenever we can, we'll try to include that into the training.